Hello viewers, Namaste. Welcome you to second session of Design Thinking with emphasis on COVID-19. In this session, we will see what is empathize. Before going to empathize, let us have a recap about our first session, what we had in session 1. In session 1, we had what is design thinking, how this COVID-19 has become pandemic, and why in fact we need to apply this design thinking to this COVID-19. And also I specified that all the principles of design thinking are in agreement with the ancient noble truths of Lord Buddha. So before going to look at this empathize, let us see how these design thinking principles are linked with Lord Buddha. Shall we see? Okay.
Now let us look at what is the relationship between the four noble truths of Lord Buddha and the salient steps of our design thinking. If you look at the left, we found the four noble truths of Lord Buddha, and in the right, you can find the salient steps we mentioned in our design thinking. The coming for the first noble truth is dukkha, that is the suffering, the second side of our happiness. If any individual lost something, or death, or met with an unwanted thing, they will suffer. In our case, we are looking for someone else's shoes. That is the acknowledgement of that suffering. That is what we call as empathize. The second noble truth is samudaya. That means what is the root cause of this suffering? In our case, we may talk to anyone and discuss to find out the actual root cause of suffering. That is, we are calling analyze. So, analyze the root cause of finding the suffering. That is what samudaya. And coming for the third noble truth of Lord Buddha is nirodha, putting an end for suffering. Here, once we got the root cause, then it is up to us how we can end this suffering. That is what we call solve. So solve is nirodha. The final one is marga, the way. We need to create a way based on the work we put on the early stages like empathy, analyze, and solve, so that we can mitigate and end the suffering. So friends, that is how design thinking is highly connected with four noble truths of Lord Buddha. Now see what is empathy. Before going to have this discussion on empathy, let me specify once again that empathy is not sympathy. That means empathy is different from sympathy. Empathy means we are looking problems from someone else's perspective, but sympathy is a kind of feeling for someone. For this, let me give one interesting example. Suppose anyone among our friends or family members is feeling sick. Then we express our pity why in fact it is happening like this for this candidate. That is what sympathy. But once we take him to the doctor, then the doctor will observe all the symptoms and treat the patient as he thinks in the shoes of patient and tries his best to cure. That is what empathy. So sympathy is feeling for someone and empathy is feeling with someone. Both are important, but in our design thinking, we should consider empathy but not sympathy. Yes, here we are looking at our present strategy to whom in fact we should empathize. This is three categories we have already given. The first one is category A, the corona attacked persons. The second one is category B, the persons who are in contact with this category A. And category C, very, very, very important, who are really serving and trying their best to make the corona attacked persons cure. See the first case A, that is empathize in case A, the COVID-19 patients. If you look at them, they may be having different kinds of disease systems and disease symptoms like heavy cold. They may be suffering from cough, high fever, breathing problem, etc. Further, they are most likely to have uncomfortable stays. That means they may not be able to attend for the regular works like taking the food, taking the water, taking the medicines from any of the dishes or vessels. And another important thing is they may be feeling a kind of psychological depression because they may be placed in some isolation wards or they may be placed in some sort of quarantines. So in these lines, we have to consider the corona attacked persons as far as empathy is concerned. Now empathize the category B or the case B, where we are looking for the persons who are in contact with corona attacked persons. Thing is here, why in fact we should consider this? Soon after attack of this coronavirus, a particular person may not be able to find out or to get express all the symptoms of this kind of virus. So that is the reason, obviously, as usual, they try to move with all these family members, move with all the friends, move with all the colleagues in the office and also in the co-travelers. But once it is aggravated, then the problem comes. So aggravated in the sense, because it is a communicative disease, there is a chance that all these persons who are in contact with these COVID-19 patients are most likely to get affected. So the caring of these persons who are in contact with these corona attacked persons is also very, very important, or else they will become the future carriers of this COVID-19. Now this is very, very important case, the C, empathize for the persons who are in service for COVID-19 patients. The first one is the case with the doctors, nurses, paramedical staff. If you look at this case, they will have direct exposure to the corona attacked persons. So they are exposed to patients for a longer time, they are at more risk. And they may be suffering from anxiety while they are caring about the sick, and look at the progress and the actual condition of the patients, whether they are getting recovered or not. In particular, if the COVID patients are aged or infants, then they will be having more anxiety. And another important thing is whether they have full-fledged accessories, like are they being provided with the protective full covering clothes, gloves and masks and frequent body washes or washers. So these are all very, very important things to consider. And apart from that, and they are staying away from the families for longer durations. So it may also give some sort of psychological depression. So this is the case for the doctors, nurses and staff. And another important thing here is the sanitary staff. These people are playing very important role in maintaining utmost cleaning all the areas, not only the hospitals and the patient related areas, living areas, common places, everywhere they have to take care of the sanitation and cleaning. So they are at heavy risk of exposure to this kind of transmitted disease. If these people are having 100% production materials, that is one of the very important questions. That means they are also supposed to have full covered clothes and other special sanitary solutions which are unflammable. And another thing is that they are supposed to expose to the disinfects for a longer time. So it may also have some sort of impact on their personal health. So this is the case with the sanitation staff and all. And coming for another important case, which is very important and very interesting, like the police force. So their work is very typical, and somehow um, they are almost a kind of controversial in aspects from some particular public point of view, because they are working like a hindrance between the impacted persons and the general public, and also they need to work as per the instructions given by their superiors. Somehow we can say that they are in real war with the invisible virus and the visible public. Why in fact I am telling you? Since public may not be able to follow all the instructions, either because of negligence or because of ignorance, and their duty has become more important. So sometimes they will also get frustrated why in fact these people are not listening to them. Like there are certain cases like what if the lockdown, where the people are not supposed to go outside and people are supposed to have huge different constrained instructions, where these people are supposed to have more vigilant. So in case the public are not in a position to listen to them, they will get more frustrated. So to control all these things, they will be having more vigilance. So for which, in fact, the utensils in general may not be sufficient, and their long duration service may also have impact on their personal hygiene. That means throughout the clock, they will have to have work to control this public and to see that the public are not exposed to the contact with impacted persons or also contact with each other. So that is the reason these particular services of polices is also have become very important. So friends, in the above lines, the safeguarding of all this is very important, like the people who are suffering from COVID-19, the people who are in contact with the COVID-19 patients, the people who are taking care of these COVID-19 patients, the people who are really working in general maintenance aspects, and in particular the public. That is the reason scientifically it is being mentioned in four different things, like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 and stage 4. Stage 1, where actually the persons, an individual attack of virus to a particular person. The stage 2, once it is exposed and transmitted to the persons who are in touch with them. And the stage 3, where actually the persons who are looking over these patients may be attacked. And stage 4 is very dangerous, that it is a kind of what you call the social transmission. That is why the safeguarding is very essential for this. So my friends, this is what we are looking as far as this kind of empathy, and we are considering many aspects in others perspective. But in the present case, and I personally feel, and of course we agree, that we may not be able to personally experience many things, like patients we may not be able to do, doctors we may not be able to do, by sanitation staff we may not be able to do, and the police staff we may not be able to do. But in this case, what we are supposed to have? That means though we are unable to personally experience, we can empathize with a keen observation. So we can empathize either via better understanding with our experience or better understanding with the keen observation. So here, if you look at this particular keen observation, what we are supposed to have, we need to better understanding of the persons to whom in fact we are supposed to provide solution, for which we need to have a direct contact or direct communication with the persons. Thing is here, what happens if the persons to whom in fact we are planning to provide solution are good at communication, we can have a chance for better understanding of the aspect. But sometimes it is not possible. Like if the people are coming from rural areas, or if the people are uneducated, then it's a bit difficult for us to get the better communication aspect. In this particular case, we have to adapt the interview technique. In this particular interview technique, from point to point, we need to ask the queries of the particular person to whom in fact we need to provide the solution, and we try to get all this particular information so that we can have the better understanding. That is what we call as the customer journey map, from where we try to get point to point need based information and try to line them up in a sequence to empathize our customers.
So, friends, this is empathies. Now, I request you to work out on empathies on your own lines and do share so that we can discuss on this particular thing. So, this is the session on empathize. Give your likes, shares, and do subscribe. Be safe and stay tuned. Happy learning. Bye.